the people who are up in my DMs trying to guess what character I'm playing, I'm not gonna tell you. I'm not gonna answer your DMs. There's two of me. Double the trouble, am I right? You can't check in. You're not an adult.
Jeffrey Bezos. Jeffrey Bezos. You did it!
Everyone's just ignoring my phone calls. Whatever, it's chill. I don't even care. I'm gonna be on a talk show tonight and I'm gonna talk shit about them on the talk show. Talking shit on the talk show. This is the one time in my life where if you have something to say, I don't want to hear it.
She said she was taking a break, but Rachel Zegler just jumped back into the Hollywood spotlight, and the drama followed her like clockwork.
I have nothing interesting to say. I look insane.
Less than 6 months after Snow White flopped both at the box office and with audiences online, Zegler is now headlining a brand new film. And let's just say the behind-the-scenes buzz is already raising eyebrows.
You shouldn't be cursing, but I'm gonna do it anyways because I have no self-control. Sorry, Mr. Mouse.
The movie's called She Gets It From Me, a comedy drama about a rebellious ex-punk rocker mother and her equally complicated daughter. Rachel plays the daughter. Marisa Tomei, yes, that Marisa Tomei, plays the mom. Sounds like a slam dunk on paper, right? Well, not so fast. The moment this casting was announced, the internet lit up with a very different reaction.
The movie was absolutely terrible. It's not the single worst movie I've ever seen, but in every way that the movie differed from the beloved 1937 original, it was worse.
Why her again? Has Hollywood learned nothing? And most damning of all, isn't she box office poison? Industry insiders were reportedly stunned by the move. After the avalanche of backlash Rachel drew during her Snow White press run, from politically charged interviews to dismissive takes on the original film's legacy, many assumed she'd go dark for a while. Let the heat die down. Lay low. Instead, she's diving straight into another leading role, and not just in any project. This one's coming from indie studio Embankment Films, known for emotionally sharp, critically ambitious dramas. The same studio that prides itself on credibility and awards buzz.
I'm a narcissist.
Other breaking news. Water. Wet.
And now, they've cast perhaps the most controversial young actress working today. It's a decision being described behind closed doors as high risk, high reward. But some are wondering, does the reward still exist? Because here's the twist. While the studio's being tight-lipped, whispers are already leaking out that not everyone's thrilled behind the scenes. Creative differences, tense rehearsals, PR headaches, the movie hasn't even wrapped. And yet the drama, oh, it's already in full swing.
It's really not about the love story at all, which is really, really wonderful.
From the outside, She Gets It From Me looks like a soft indie pivot for Rachel Zegler, a chance to step away from Disney controversy and prove she can carry something grounded, emotional, and character-driven. And on paper, it should work. She's starring alongside Marisa Tomei, an Academy Award winner with decades of respect under her belt, and the film is helmed by acclaimed German director Julia von Heinz. But while the press releases are spinning this as a female-led passion project with deep generational themes and emotional complexity, the reality behind the scenes might not be as smooth as advertised.
Like, in the eyes of the law, you have to be nice to me, and I'm an adult.
According to a source close to the production, things got off to a rocky start. Rachel came in with a strong sense of how she wanted to play the role, but Julia von Heinz had a very different vision. The conflict reportedly came to a head during early script table reads, with discussions becoming increasingly tense and even requiring intervention from producers to mediate. Rachel wants to play the daughter as a kind of misunderstood, modern rebel, the insider claimed, but the director is pushing for something more raw, less polished, someone who's not always likable. And here's where it gets interesting. Apparently, Rachel wasn't thrilled about being told her character needed less glamour, more grit.
I don't want people to see me in a weakened state.
And that's not the only creative rift. Tomei, who's known for her nuanced, emotionally rich performances, allegedly pushed for improvised scenes, moments that would feel spontaneous, vulnerable, and lived in. But insiders say Rachel wasn't comfortable going off script, preferring the security of tightly controlled dialogue. She likes to rehearse, a lot, one source noted, and Marisa doesn't. Now, none of this means the film is in trouble, yet. But it's clear this isn't the quiet comeback some were expecting. Instead, we might be watching another potential powder keg. And with cameras still rolling, the stakes are only getting higher.
If you have any opinions, I don't want to hear them.
While the public-facing narrative tries to frame this as a graceful artistic collaboration, the backstage energy tells a very different story. According to a second source close to the production, the mood on set has been described as fragile, not explosive, not chaotic, but strained. People are walking on eggshells around Rachel, they said. She's not screaming or causing scenes, but the vibe shifts when she enters the room. There's tension. Part of that tension reportedly stems from concerns over how much baggage she's bringing from the Snow White disaster. Industry insiders whispered that when Zegler was first cast in She Gets It From Me, there was pushback, even internally.
Zegler's career now looking like it is seriously on life support.
It wasn't an easy sell, someone familiar with early development confirmed. Distributors were hesitant. Rachel's name isn't exactly synonymous with safe PR right now. And yet the producers ultimately sided with giving her another shot, banking on the idea that pairing her with Marisa Tomei could soften her image and create the kind of on-screen contrast that would benefit both actresses. But insiders say it hasn't exactly been a mentorship dynamic. They're professionals, don't get me wrong, said one crew member, but don't expect warm, fuzzy mother-daughter vibes off camera. It's more mutual respect from a distance.
It's Hollywood, baby.
One particularly awkward moment allegedly came during an early rehearsal when Tomei suggested an emotional beat be played more subtly, and Zegler, instead of adjusting, reportedly fired back with a, "Well, that's not how Gen Z does things" line that left the room stunned. Marisa just nodded and moved on, the source said, but the message was clear. They're not speaking the same language. The irony? This whole film is supposed to explore inherited emotional dynamics between mothers and daughters, generational trauma, misunderstood intentions, identity clashes, but with the real-life actors reportedly struggling to find rhythm off-screen, people are starting to wonder whether art is imitating life, or if the film might be more self-revealing than anyone planned. And it's not just the dynamic between Rachel and Marisa raising eyebrows. Whispers from the production office suggest that director Julia von Heinz has her hands full trying to navigate creative tensions bubbling under the surface. On paper, she seemed like the perfect fit, an internationally respected filmmaker with a reputation for threading emotion into bold, socially aware stories. But sources say this project is testing her patience. Julia's being pulled in 3 directions, said one person close to the production. There's the script, the performances, and then the personalities, and one personality in particular. Apparently, a recurring friction point has been tone.
To address the elephant in the room. I'm the hottest person in the world.
Cue the laugh.
Julia reportedly wants to keep the film grounded, intimate, and emotionally raw, but Rachel allegedly keeps pushing for more pop, more edge, more stylized delivery. She's not wrong for having a vision, one crew member admitted. But when you're not the director and the director keeps having to rein you in, it gets tiring. There's also been quiet chatter that Rachel's style of acting, big, expressive, hyper-verbal, clashes with Tomei's more restrained and intuitive approach. It's like watching 2 movies happening at once, one observer put it bluntly, and this isn't the first time something like this has happened. Critics of Rachel's Snow White press run noted how she often seemed to clash with the tone of the film's messaging, offering brash hot takes when the studio needed poise. That same tendency seems to be rearing its head again, but this time, it's not during a press tour, it's during filming. Behind the camera, there's also talk of creative containment. The director, some say, is trying to shoot around issues rather than solve them, finding ways to isolate certain scenes, limit interactions, and rely heavily on post-production to create cohesion. That's not uncommon in films with big personalities, one insider said, but when you start doing it mid-shoot, it usually means something went sideways. Of course, none of this has been confirmed by the studio. Official statements remain glowing, upbeat, and filled with the usual PR polish. But the silence from the stars themselves, no behind-the-scenes Instagram posts, no jokey TikToks from Rachel, feels louder than any gossip right now. When even the social media darlings go quiet, people start wondering what's really happening just outside the frame. Adding even more fuel to the fire is the bizarre decision to keep this entire production under unusually tight wraps. For a film with 2 high-profile leads, a celebrated director, and a storyline that's practically begging for press attention, She Gets It From Me has been operating under near-radio silence. Insiders say even some of the supporting cast members weren't allowed full access to the script until their shoot days, which is almost unheard of in a mid-budget indie project. It's like we're shooting a Marvel movie, one crew member reportedly joked, except the stakes are egos, not superheroes.
Put another gay diverse woman in it, make it more lit.
It's really not about the love story at all, which is really, really wonderful.
The studio, Embankment Films, has also been unusually guarded. While they've confirmed the core premise, a punk rocker mother and her influencer daughter dealing with a viral family secret, they've declined multiple requests for deeper press engagement. No set visits, no early press photos, no teaser interviews. Even the cast's standard welcome to production social media posts have been conspicuously absent. The contrast is striking when compared to Rachel's usual PR playbook, which tends to involve plenty of Instagram stories and a constant TikTok presence. But on this shoot, crickets. Some are speculating that the radio silence is strategic, damage control in real time. One theory being floated is that producers are banking on a post-wrap press tour to reset the narrative. They want the film to speak for itself, one industry analyst noted. But in this case, silence might be doing more harm than good. It creates a vacuum, and in Hollywood, vacuums get filled with gossip, especially when you have Rachel Zegler at the center of it, an actress who, fairly or unfairly, seems to magnetize controversy every time her name trends. And speaking of trends, there's also speculation about whether the drama behind the scenes will spill over into the final cut. Industry veterans know that on-set tension often translates to uneven screen energy, performances that don't quite click, scenes that feel stitched together instead of lived in. With two strong personalities, a sensitive script, and creative differences allegedly simmering, the question becomes, can Von Heinz tie it all into a cohesive emotional arc? Or will the film feel like a tug of war with a camera caught in the middle? Because here's the thing, audiences can sense disconnection, and if She Gets It From Me ends up being more compelling for what happened off camera than what actually plays out on screen, this comeback moment for Rachel might turn into yet another cautionary tale. At the center of all this swirling tension is Rachel Zegler herself, who, despite being just 23, is somehow carrying the weight of a career that's already seen more public backlash than most actresses get in a lifetime. After Snow White crashed and burned at the box office, many believed she would take a long hiatus, or at the very least, step back from lead roles until the storm passed.
I don't need your business. Thanks.
But instead, she's right back in the spotlight, and according to insiders, she's treating this indie set like it's her personal redemption arc. She's under so much pressure to prove herself, one crew source shared. You can feel it in the air. That pressure seems to be manifesting in more ways than one. Reports from the set suggest that Rachel is constantly reviewing playback, requesting additional takes and pushing to workshop lines, even ones written by a highly respected screenwriter. Some view that as admirable dedication. Others are calling it disruptive. It's not that she's doing anything wrong, one source clarified. It's that she's doing everything like her career depends on it, because it probably does. But here's where things get even messier. Marisa Tomei, while famously professional, reportedly hasn't been thrilled about the attention dynamics on set. With decades of work under her belt, an Oscar to her name, and a reputation for quiet consistency, she's not used to being overshadowed by drama. Some say she's taken on a mentorship role with Rachel behind the scenes. Others suggest the opposite, that Tomei has been keeping her distance, letting the younger actress navigate her own PR fallout. Whatever the case may be, one thing is clear. There's tension between the two, even if it's carefully masked during filming. Meanwhile, director Julia von Heinz is caught between two generations of stardom, one trying to maintain grace under pressure, the other trying to outrun a reputation. Sources say she's doing her best to hold the creative vision together, but some decisions, like cutting emotionally intense scenes on the spot or rescheduling shoots to reduce overlap between Zegler and Tomei, have raised eyebrows. Is this a case of smart production strategy, or signs that behind the camera, the team is struggling to manage combustible energy? Because even when everyone smiles for the press photos later on, the lens can't erase the memory of a tense set. And if She Gets It From Me becomes a hit, it won't just be about the story. It'll be about whether the cast managed to survive each other long enough to deliver it. As the whispers from the set grow louder, the internet's already doing what it does best, digging deeper and drawing its own conclusions. And naturally, the fan theories are wild. Some online sleuths are convinced that Rachel Zegler's team is intentionally leaking info to stir up publicity, spinning the behind-the-scenes drama as proof she's passionate, or method. Others think the narrative is slipping out of her hands entirely, that instead of controlling the story, she's becoming the story. Again. And that's not a good thing when you're still trying to convince Hollywood you're not a liability. Adding fuel to the fire is the uncomfortable reality that Rachel has become a kind of litmus test in the industry.
What would you say to those who are just kind of overly critiquing the film at this point? You've worked so hard on it. All right.
To some, she represents bold Gen Z talent, outspoken, ambitious, unafraid to challenge old norms. To others, she's the cautionary tale of what happens when a rising star forgets the importance of timing, tone, and audience goodwill. And the way She Gets It From Me unfolds publicly might end up shaping how casting agents, producers, and studios view her for years to come. But Rachel isn't the only one under a microscope. Julia von Heinz is entering unfamiliar territory herself. After years of acclaim in the European art house circuit, this is her first real dance with the American publicity machine. The stakes are high. This is the kind of project that could pivot her into more mainstream recognition, or get swallowed by the drama surrounding it. Sources say she's keenly aware of that balance, and has started tightening her circle, limiting who's allowed in key post-production meetings, and being ultra-selective about what gets shared with PR. And yet, there's a strange irony in all this. The film is literally about a complicated mother-daughter relationship filled with unspoken resentment, artistic ambition, and generational misunderstandings. In other words, the chaos off-screen sounds a lot like what's being acted out on screen. It's like the whole cast and crew is stuck in some kind of psychological echo chamber. A film about clashing women, made by clashing women, in the middle of an industry that's practically built on unresolved tension. The question now is, can they channel all that tension into the performance? Or will the behind-the-scenes drama be the only thing people remember? With every new whisper, She Gets It From Me feels less like a film and more like a high-stakes experiment. And for Rachel Zegler, the margin for error is razor thin. Hollywood is notoriously unforgiving to women when it comes to public perception, and even more so when that perception veers into the difficult or ungrateful category. Fair or not, that's the box some critics are already eager to shove her into, which means this movie can't just be good, it has to be undeniable. Because anything less, and the headlines won't read Rachel Zegler's comeback, they'll read Rachel Zegler fumbles again. There's already tension around test screening results, something the studio hasn't confirmed, but insiders say initial cuts left execs unsure about tone. Comedy drama is a delicate balance, and, according to sources, the film teeters heavily into melodrama in parts, which may conflict with its intended sharpness and irony. Some reports even suggest there's debate over whether Rachel's performance is too serious for the script's lighter moments, while Tomei, a seasoned pro, nails the tonal shifts effortlessly. If that's true, it could set up an unfortunate contrast in the final edit, which might only reinforce the narrative that Zegler's still too green for roles with this kind of complexity.
What an idiot I've been as a young person in this industry who has no filter and no idea what she's doing.
And then there's the social media problem. Again, Rachel has been relatively quiet online lately, likely at the urging of her team, who are doing everything they can to avoid another PR disaster. But every time she resurfaces, even in harmless posts, the backlash is immediate. Screenshots of her old interviews, TikToks, and polarizing quotes keep resurfacing like clockwork, reminding everyone of the Snow White meltdown that still lingers in the public consciousness. And while the film industry might be ready to forgive, audiences, not so much. What complicates things further is the rumored dynamic between Rachel and Julia von Heinz. Some insiders say there's mutual respect, but growing creative friction. Rachel, wanting to reshape her narrative, allegedly pushed for some script rewrites midway through filming, something von Heinz reportedly resisted. And while that kind of tension isn't uncommon on set, it becomes very public when you're dealing with a star who's already under a microscope. Whether it's true or exaggerated, the optics are dicey. It paints a picture of an actress trying to steer a film she was hired to serve, not control. And with Marisa Tomei caught in the middle, gracefully as always, the whole situation is beginning to look like a tale of three women navigating power, perception, and performance under the harshest lights possible. Now comes the part nobody saw coming, the unexpected silence from Embankment Films. For a production company that proudly touted its global reach and diverse slate, their sudden radio silence about She Gets It From Me is raising eyebrows. No teaser images, no set sneak peeks, no behind-the-scenes promos, not even the usual press drip feed. It's almost like they're trying to finish the film under the radar, and in an industry that thrives on hype, that's not normal. Sources close to the studio suggest they're walking a tightrope, trying to recalibrate the film's marketing strategy without triggering another wave of anti-Zegler backlash. In other words, they're in damage control before the damage has even landed. There are also rumblings of scheduling complications, which in Hollywood is often code for something more delicate. Marisa Tomei has reportedly been pulled in multiple directions with overlapping projects, but insiders say the real issue may lie with Rachel's limited availability. With live theater obligations and other pending deals, some of which were inked before Snow White imploded, it's allegedly becoming harder for her to commit to the kind of press rollout this movie will eventually need.
I will elbow everyone out of the way to play the part.
A real team player.
Some team members are even questioning whether she should front the campaign at all, or if it would be safer to position Tomei as the face of the film entirely. And that's not just about PR optics. it's a strategic gamble. Tomei, beloved and controversy-free, could sell the film on performance alone. Zegler, for all her talent and ambition, comes with risk. Do they double down on her redemption arc, or cut their losses and let the project speak for itself? That's the internal war reportedly brewing at Embankment. Meanwhile, early buzz within indie circles is mixed. Some festival programmers are intrigued by the premise, but are reportedly hesitant to spotlight the film too heavily, unless it offers something truly compelling. There's even chatter about whether the movie will be ready in time for fall festivals, or whether a quiet VOD release in early 2026 might be the safer route. That would be a massive letdown for everyone involved, but especially for Rachel, who sees this film as her chance to rewrite the narrative. And speaking of rewriting, there's allegedly already talk of reshoots. Not extensive ones, but enough to tighten emotional continuity, whatever that means. That phrase has been used before as a smokescreen for everything from script issues to poor test feedback. If that's what's happening here, then She Gets It From Me may be undergoing far more behind-the-scenes patchwork than anyone initially expected. If She Gets It From Me succeeds, it could be the redemption arc Rachel Zegler has been waiting for. A stripped-down, character-driven indie flick with a strong co-star, a female-led production team, and a plot that blends rebellion with reconciliation. On paper, it's the perfect reset button, but in this industry, perfect is rarely enough. It comes down to timing, audience forgiveness, and, most brutally, whether the narrative around a person shifts before the next scandal hits. Because let's be honest, this isn't just about a film. This is about how far a reputation can fall, and how hard it is to claw back when the internet decides you've had your moment. For Marisa Tomei, the risk is minimal. She's already won her Oscar, proven her range, and stayed largely out of the drama cycle for decades. But for Rachel, this might be the last time the industry lets her anchor something without a proven co-star to buffer the headlines. Whether fair or not, the buzz around this film isn't about the script. It's about whether she can pull it off. Whether she can behave, perform, and promote like someone who understands what she nearly lost. Hollywood may forgive, but it never forgets. And in the age of viral takedowns and digital receipts, Zegler is now learning the cost of trying to play the fame game without reading the rules. Maybe this new film will flip the script. Maybe it'll bomb quietly. Or maybe, just maybe, it'll do something rare, spark conversation without controversy. So what do you think? Has Rachel Zegler earned another shot? Or is Hollywood just too quick to hand out second chances? And will audiences show up for this edgy mother-daughter dramedy? Or are they still stuck on the Snow White disaster? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Hit like if you've been following the drama, and subscribe for the next big Hollywood unraveling, because the next video on your screen is waiting. And trust me, you won't believe what's coming next.